It eats holes in your brain. It makes your brain do things it's not supposed to. You know what's happening? We talked about this with experts 20 years ago, and about 15 years ago, they began to report in mainstream news that the German elite and the British elite and the Chinese elite have their own, quote, clean vaccines that are made in limited allotments that don't have all the bad additives in them. There still could be some side effects, but learned immunity is real. It's a real science. They always lie and say that I'm saying it isn't a real science. No, it's a real science. What they give us is a literal IQ reducer with steroids. Let's go further. John Rappaport links to the Psychiatric News, links to the Journal of American Medicine and JAMA Neurology and a bunch of other studies that Celexa, Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft, Lexapro, Luvox, and others all cause massive increases in strokes and the risk of intracranial hemorrhages. Folks, what is XTC or Molly or the different variants of MDMA do? The Germans invented it in the 20s in an accident in a chemical plant. You can look it up. By the 80s, it was called the love drugs. Psychologists were handing it out to everybody. It is the only known admitted treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder. The problem is they had to ban it because if you start taking it every week over a year or so, it'll eat holes in your brain and cause massive hemorrhages. What class is a serotonin reuptake inhibitor? It's in the hallucinogen psychotropic class. What class is MDMA in? The same thing. It's just a lot stronger. I had a girlfriend in college that sometimes would take like 10 Prozacs and she'd be bombed out of her head for a day in ecstasy. Same thing, same class of drugs. You take that stuff every day for a couple years, you take it for a decade, everyone I know that's taken that stuff for more than a decade has either a skin disease where their skin's totally pale, or they get tumors, or they get brain tumors, or they have hemorrhages and die. I probably have five or more friends that have died of brain hemorrhages or brain tumors that have been on Prozac type drugs since high school. And they're dying in the last few years. I go to their funerals. And I talk to their families and they go, yeah, it was the Luvox. I have a really good friend who went on Paxil within 1 year, got the disease, Virilago, what's it called? Where you turn totally white, look like a vampire, started having nosebleeds. And he said, listen, I hate it, but now I'm totally addicted. I go crazy if I don't take it. Here it is, SSRI antidepressants increase risk of intracranial hemorrhage. Patients being treated with SSRIs had a 70% increase in risk of experiencing an intracranial hemorrhage. And that's just in their own study, looking at people over a year. Imagine a decade. From healthline.com, an intracranial hemorrhage, ICH, refers to an acute bleeding inside your skull or brain. It's a life-threatening hemorrhage emergency. You should go to emergency room right away or call 911. Yeah. The public has learned about the increased risk of suicide and violent behavior, including murder, stemming from the use of SSRI antidepressants. Now there's more. Study published Friday in JAMA Neurology has found that patients taking antidepressants that are strong inhibitors of serotonin reuptake may be at an increased risk for intracranial hemorrhage, particularly during the first month of use. And then over time, it gets worse, but it's that first month's the really bad time. It goes on, the Journal of Psychiatry says that you could kill you in the first 7 days. This is just a study on the first few months of use. There's other ones on long-term use. It eats holes in your brain. It makes your brain do things it's not supposed to. Meanwhile, you know what I do when I'm down a little bit? I take 5-HTP, which is just a normal brain chemical. You buy at the store, like 20 bucks a bottle. And I take Knockout, which has plants that have the same thing in it. I don't take it every night. By the way, Knockout's $19.95. L-tryptophan, serotonin from organic sources, valerian root that has the plant compounds, lemon balm, chamomile, and other known things. And My lawyer, who wrote the Texas Family Code, one of the top lawyers in Texas, has been on 4 different things, sleep studies, you name it. He said knockout changed his life. He looks 10 years younger and literally just says he wants to come on air and talk about it because it changed his life, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mother Nature, totally natural, totally healthy, and it does the opposite. It gives your brain the chemicals that are being depleted. And when they get depleted, you take these chemicals that still force the brain to carry out those functions. It'll start dragging other chemicals through the blood-brain barrier other than serotonin or dopamine and cause brain damage. And that's in the medical literature. I didn't mean to go into a plug separately on knockout. It's just sunshine, clean water, herbs. That's what the apothecaries were, the old ancient doctors in every culture. That was one half of medicine, was plants, herbs, apothecaries. That's what the pharmacy is. It's why the pharmacy symbol's a bowl with a stone mallet or stone grinder to grind the herbs, to drink them as a tea, to drink them as an oil. And all we've done is brought back all the best stuff that's out there, but I didn't mean to get into that. The point is, here we are telling you SSRIs eat holes in your brain and give you all sorts of problems where you get aneurysms and intracranial bleeding and strokes and all sorts of other crap. That's what it does. It's hardcore. It's in the hallucinogen family. That's what psychotropics are. Okay, maybe you took acid 5 times in college. Changed your world, didn't it? Imagine taking this stuff for 5 years. That's why you hear about people drinking on that stuff and then they go out and kill a bunch of people, because you're out of your mind, ladies and gentlemen. It's crazy. So here's just a few articles on that today. Look at this article on the Daily Mail. How the CIA tried to turn a cat into a cyborg spy by implanting it with a microphone and an antenna. This was decades ago they did this, now declassified. I was at my press conference Friday and I brought up chimeras, human-animal hybrids, as a major threat to humanity because of the viruses that it's giving rise to and mutations. And the media all made fun of me and said I was crazy. And hundreds of newspapers, they said it didn't exist because they think you're stupid. We'll be right back.
What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com.